All right, we are coming up on 8 o'clock, so let's settle in, get comfortable, grab a drink, grab a chair, and let's get started with something very new and very, very old. Welcome back. This is our first night with a new to us story. The original action hero, the king of heroes, the Epic of Gilgamesh. I found a very neat translation this time that should present this in a reasonably good narrative flow. I was looking through for different options. There's the classical, the purist, where you're trying to take things in as close to the original verse and couplets and everything as was originally put together. But when you're dealing with cuneiform tablets, that's difficult. And we read a few stories that were in the original sort of tone and meter. Like when we read Beowulf, it was very dense, shall we say. And a few of our other things. So I thought this time we'd find something that was a little bit more intended to be read as a story rather than as a poem. And this translation, this adaptation, was done exceptionally well. So I'm excited to give this one a spin. I think I'd read the story of Gilgamesh in college, in undergrad, for some class or other, World Lit or Lit of Antiquity or something of the sort. It'll be nice to go to it without having to analyze every little bit and piece of it and try and pull out the religious connotations and all the symbologies and whatnot. We're just having a good story with one of the world's oldest preserved stories. So, let's go ahead and shift over to our reading nook and see what awaits for us deep, deep in the sands of time. All right, so we have a nice cover for this one. Now, this is going to be a slightly different reading experience than we have previously had. I couldn't find a good EPUB for this one, but I did find a reasonably good PNG. Or not PNG, PDF. PNG would be gigantic. A reasonably good PDF. So you'll be seeing the pages as if they were scanned from the book, which is a fun little twist from what we usually do. Here's hoping that we can enjoy it in this format. Yes, the oldest and they were roommates. Indeed. Enkidu and Gilgamesh, we know what you were up. We know what you were about. Alright, now, there's a fair bit of intro that we will fly right over. Alright. I don't need the bookmarks. Alright. Alright. So, Lordy. The Epic of Gilgamesh. The prologue. He had seen everything, had experienced all emotions, from exaltation to despair. He had been granted a vision into the great mystery, the secret places, the primeval days before the flood. He had journeyed to the edge of the world and made his way back, exhausted but whole. He had carved his trials on stone tablets, had restored the holy Iana temple and the massive wall of Uruk, which no city on earth can equal. See how its ramparts gleam like copper in the sun. Climb the stone staircase more ancient than the mind can imagine. approach the Aeona temple sacred to Ishtar. Okay. But now it's insulting. Not only are you trying to sell viewers, you're trying to sell AI viewers now. Get out of here. Climb the stone staircase, more ancient than the mind can imagine. Approach the Aeona temple sacred to Ishtar, a temple that no king has equaled in size or beauty. Walk on the wall of Uruk. Follow its course around the city, inspect its mighty foundations, examine its brickwork, how masterfully it is built. Observe the hand it encloses. The palm trees, the land it encloses, the palm trees, the gardens, the orchards, the glorious palaces and temples, the shops and marketplaces, the houses, the public squares. Find the cornerstone, and under it, the copper box that is marked with his name. Unlock it, open the lid, take out the tablet of lapis lazuli, read how Gilgamesh suffered all and accomplished all. I like that as a prologue. That's a good bit of hype. A good way to set the tone for what is to come. Book 1. Surpassing all kings, powerful and tall, beyond all others, violent, splendid, a wild bull of a man, unvanquished leader, hero in the front lines, beloved by his soldiers, fortress, they called him, protector of the people, raging flood that destroys all defenses, 2/3 divine and 1/3 human, son of King Lugalbanda, who became a god, and the goddess Ninsun. He opened the mountain passes, dug wells on the slopes, crossed the vast oceans, sailed to the rising sun, journeyed to the edge of the world in search of eternal life. And once he found Utnapishtim, the man who had survived the great flood and was made immortal. He brought back the ancient, forgotten rites, restoring the temples that the flood had destroyed, renewing the statutes and sacraments for the welfare of the people and the sacred land. Who is like Gilgamesh? What other king had inspired such awe? Who else can say, I alone rule, supreme among mankind? The goddess Aruru, mother of creation, had designed his body, and made him the strongest of men. Huge, handsome, radiant, perfect. The city is his possession. He struts through it, arrogant, his head raised high, trampling its citizens like a wild bull. He is king. He does whatever he wants. Takes the son from his father and crushes him, takes the girl from her mother and uses her, the warrior's daughter, the young man's bride, he uses her. No one dares to oppose him. But the people of Uruk cried out to heaven, and their lamentation was heard. The gods are not unfeeling. Their hearts were touched. They went to Anu, father of them all, protector of the realm of sacred Uruk, and spoke to him on the people's behalf. Heavenly Father Gilgamesh, noble as he is, splendid as he is, has exceeded all bounds. The people suffer from his tyranny. The people cry out that he takes the son from his father and crushes him, takes the girl from her mother and uses her, the warrior's daughter, the young man's bride, and he uses her. No one dares to oppose him. Is this how you want your king to rule? Should a shepherd savage his own flock? Father, do something quickly before the people overwhelm heaven with their heart-rending cries. Anu heard them. He nodded his head, then to the goddess, mother of creation, he called out, Aruru, you are the one who created humans. Now go and create a double for Gilgamesh, his second self. A man who equals his strength and courage, a man who equals his stormy heart. Create a new hero. Let them balance each other perfectly, so that Uruk has peace. When Aruru heard this, she closed her eyes, and what Anu had commanded she formed in her mind. She moistened her hands, she pinched off some clay, she threw it into the wilderness, kneaded it, shaped it to her idea, and fashioned a man, a warrior, a hero, Enkidu the Brave, as powerful and fierce as the war god Ninurta. Hair covered his body, hair grew thick on his head and hung down to his waist like a woman's hair. He roamed all over the wilderness, naked, far from the cities of men, ate grass with gazelles, and when he was thirsty, he drank clear water from the waterholes, kneeling beside the antelope and deer. One day, a human, a trapper, saw him drinking with the animals at a waterhole. The trapper's heart pounded, his face went white, his legs shook, he was numb with terror. The same thing happened a second, a third day. Fear gripped his belly. He looked drained and haggard, like someone who had been on a long, hard journey. He went to his father. "Father, I have seen a savage man at the waterhole. He must be the strongest man in the world, with muscles like rock. I have seen him outrun the swiftest animals. He lives among them, eats grass with gazelles, and when he is thirsty, he drinks clear water from the waterholes. I haven't approached him. I am too afraid. He fills in the pits I've dug. He tears out the traps I've set. He frees the animals, and I can catch nothing. My livelihood is gone." "Son, in Uruk there lives a man named Gilgamesh. He is king of that city and the strongest man in the world, they say, with muscles like rock. Go now to Uruk. Go to Gilgamesh. Tell him what happened. Then follow his advice. He will know what to do." He made the journey. He stood before Gilgamesh in the center of Uruk. He told him about the savage man. The king said, "Go to the temple of Ishtar. Ask them there for a woman named Shamhat, one of the priestesses who give their bodies to any man in honor of the goddess. Take her into the wilderness. When the animals are drinking at the waterhole, tell her to strip off her robe and lie there, naked, ready with her legs apart. The wild man will approach. Let her use her love arts. Nature will take its course. And then the animals who knew him in the wilderness will be bewildered and will leave him forever." Well, that's one way to trap a wild man, I suppose. This is something around, 4000 BC. So the old adage of product of its times is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. The trapper found Shamhat, Ishtar's priestess. Indeed it was. The trapper found Shamhat, Ishtar's priestess, and they went off into the wilderness. 3 days they walked. On the third day, they reached the waterhole. There they waited. For 2 days they sat as the animals came to drink clear water. Early in the morning of the third day, Enkidu came and knelt down to drink clear water with the antelope and deer. They looked in amazement. The man was huge and beautiful. Deep in Shamat's loins, desire stirred. Her breath quickened as she stared at this primordial being. "Look," the trapper said, "there he is! Now, use your love arts. Strip off your robe and lie here naked, with your legs apart. Stir up his lust when he approaches. Touch him, excite him, take his breath with your kisses. Show him what a woman is. The animals who know him in the wilderness will be bewildered and will leave him forever." The hunter seems a little excited here. I should wonder that he doesn't really get any excitement of his own. She stripped off her robe and lay there naked. with her legs apart, touching herself. Enkidu saw her and warily approached. He sniffed the air. He gazed at her body. He drew close. Shamat touched him on the thigh, touched his penis, and put him inside her. She used her love arts. She took his breath with her kisses, held nothing back, and showed him what a woman is. For 7 days he stayed erect and made love with her, until he had had enough. At last, he stood up and walked toward the waterhole to rejoin his animals. But the gazelles saw him and scattered. The antelope and deer bounded away. He tried to catch up, but his body was exhausted. His life force was spent. His knees trembled. He could no longer run like an animal as he had before. He turned back to Shamat, and as he walked he knew that his mind had somehow grown larger. He knew things now that an animal can't know. Bro went 7 days? Good Lord. All right. Good on Shamat for keeping up. Damn. Enkidu sat down at Shamat's feet. He looked at her and he understood all the words she was speaking to him. Now, Enkidu, you know what it is to be with a woman, to unite with her. You are beautiful. You are like a god. Why should you roam the wilderness and live like an animal? Let me take you to Great Wall Uruk, to the temple of Ishtar, to the palace of Gilgamesh, the mighty king, who, in his arrogance, oppresses the people, trampling upon them like a wild bull. She finished, and Enkidu nodded his head. Deep in his heart he felt something stir, a longing he had never known before, the longing for a true friend. Enkidu said, I will go, Shamat. Take me with you to Great Wall Uruk, to the temple of Ishtar, to the palace of Gilgamesh, the mighty king. I will challenge him. I will shout to his face. I am the mightiest. I am the man who can make the world tremble. I am supreme. Come, said Shamat. Let us go to Uruk. I will lead you to Gilgamesh, the mighty king. You will see the great city with its massive wall. You will see the young men dressed in their splendor, in the finest linen and embroidered wool, brightly colored with fringed shawls and wide belts. Every day is a festival in Uruk, with people singing and dancing in the streets, musicians playing their lyres and drums, the lovely priestesses standing before the temple of Ishtar, chanting and laughing, flushed with sexual joy, and ready to serve men's pleasure in honor of the goddess, so that even old men are roused from their beds. You, who are still so ignorant of life, I will show you Gilgamesh, the mighty king, the hero, destined for both joy and grief. You will stand before him and gaze with wonder. You will see how handsome, how virile he is, how his body pulses with erotic power. He is even taller and stronger than you, so full of life force that he needs no sleep. Enkidu, put aside your aggression. Shamash, the sun god, loves him, and his mind has been made large by Anu, father of the gods, made large by Enlil, the god of earth, and by Ea, the god of water and wisdom. Even before you came down from the hills, you had come to Gilgamesh in a dream. And she told Enkidu what she had heard. He went to his mother, the goddess Ninsun, and asked her to interpret the dream. I saw a bright star. It shot across the morning sky. It fell at my feet and lay before me like a huge boulder. I tried to lift it, but it was too heavy. I tried to move it, but it would not budge. A crowd of people gathered around me. The people of Uruk pressed in to see it. Like a little baby, they kissed its feet. This boulder, this star that had fallen to earth. I took it in my arms. I embraced it and caressed it the way a man caresses his wife. Then I took it and laid it before you. You told me that it was my double, my second half. The mother of Gilgamesh, Lady Ninsun, the wise, the all-knowing, said to her son, Dearest child, this bright star from heaven, this huge boulder that you could not lift, it stands for a dear friend, a mighty hero. You will take him in your arms, embrace and caress him the way a man caresses his wife. He will be your double, your second self. A man who is loyal, who will stand at your side through the greatest dangers. Soon you will meet him, the compassion of your heart. Your dream has said so. Gilgamesh said, May the dream come true. May the true friend appear, the true companion, who through every danger will stand at my side. When Shamat had finished speaking, Enkidu turned to her, and again they made love. 7 days, a little tired, tell a story about who is soon to be his other half. Well, he's ready for round 2. But yes, in many, many years BC, love is love. Alright, that brings us to the end of book 2, or the end of book 1. So we've seen the introduction of, and setting the stage, the pre-Enkidu days where Gilgamesh was a tyrant to the people of Uruk. Babylon was too small a place for the mighty king. And the gods thought fit to, rather than knock Gilgamesh down a peg, to give him someone to mirror against, so they can build each other up. Bit of perspective. If he can't trample someone, then maybe he'll realize that everyone is worth keeping around for some reason or other. Right? Hopefully. Alright. Book 2. Then Shamat gave Enkidu one of her robes, and he put it on. Taking his hand, she led him like a child to some shepherds' huts. Marveling, the shepherds crowded around him. What an enormous man, they whispered. How much like Gilgamesh he is! Tall and strong, with muscles like rock! They led him to their table. They put bread and beer in front of him. Enkidu sat and stared. He had never seen human food. He didn't know what to do. Then Shamat said, Go ahead, Enkidu. This is food. We humans eat and drink this. Warily, he tasted the bread. Then he ate a piece. He ate a whole loaf, then ate another. He ate until he was full and drank 7 pitchers of the beer. His heart grew light, his face glowed, and he sang out with joy. He had his hair cut, he washed, he rubbed sweet oil into his skin, and became fully human. Shining. He looked handsome as a bridegroom. When the shepherds lay down, Enkidu went out with sword and spear. He chased off lions and wolves all night. He guarded the flocks. He stayed awake and guarded them while the shepherds slept. One day, while he was making love, he looked up and saw a young man pass by. Shamat, he said, bring that man here. I want to talk to him. Where is he going? She called out, then went to the man and said, Where are you going in such a rush? The man said to Enkidu, I am on my way to a wedding banquet. I have piled the table with exquisite food for the ceremony. The priest will bless the young couple. The guests will rejoice, the bridegroom will step aside, and the virgin will wait in the marriage bed for Gilgamesh, king of Great Walled Uruk. It is he who mates first with the lawful wife. After he is done, the bridegroom follows. That is the order that the gods have decreed from the moment the king's birth cord was cut. Every girl's hymen has belonged to him. I'm sorry. Okay. Whew. As he listened, Enkidu's face went pale with anger. I will go to Uruk now, to the palace of Gilgamesh, the mighty king. I will challenge him. I will shout to his face, I am the mightiest. I am the man who can make the world tremble. I am supreme. Together they went to Great Walled Uruk. Enkidu in front, Shamat behind him. When he walked into the main street of Uruk, the people gathered around him, marveling. The crowds kept pressing closer to see him. Like a little baby, they kissed his feet. "What an enormous man," they whispered. "How much like Gilgamesh, not quite so tall, but stronger boned. In the wilderness, he grew up eating grass with gazelles. He was nursed on the milk of antelope and deer. Gilgamesh truly has met his match. This wild man can rival the mightiest of kings." The wedding ritual had taken place. The musicians were playing their drums and lyres. The guests were eating, singing, and laughing. The bride was ready for Gilgamesh, as though for a god. She was waiting in her bed to open to him in honor of Ishtar, to forget her husband and open to the king. When Gilgamesh reached the marriage house, Enkidu was there. He stood like a boulder blocking the door. Gilgamesh, raging, stepped up and seized him. Huge arms gripped huge arms. Foreheads crashed like wild bulls. The two men staggered. They pitched against houses. The doorposts trembled. The outer walls shook. They careened through the streets. They grappled each other, limbs intertwined, each huge body straining to break free from the other's embrace. Finally, Gilgamesh threw the wild man with his right knee pinned, and with his right knee pinned him to the ground. His anger left him. He turned away. The contest was over. Enkidu said, "Gilgamesh, you are unique among humans. Your mother, the goddess Ninsun, made you stronger and braver than any mortal, and rightly has Enlil granted you the kingship, since you are destined to rule over men." They embraced and kissed. They held hands like brothers. They walked side by side. They became true friends. The very first enemies to lover, or enemies to friends trope. Right here. You saw it here. Knock the shit out of each other. All of a sudden, besties. Alright, that brings us to the end of Book 2. Things are developing quickly. I actually don't know. I think one of the translations I know of is like only 100 pages long. So we'll probably burn through this reasonably quickly. I'm not sure exactly how long this one is. And there was like 25% of the book was preface. So it's kind of hard to gauge. But yeah, exactly. That was just Armstrong and the teacher's husband flexing at each other. That's all it takes. I mean, the muscular communication is secret. All right, Book 3. Time passed quickly. Gilgamesh said, "Now we must travel to the cedar forest, where the fierce monster Humbaba lives. We must kill him and drive out evil from the world." Enkidu sighed. His eyes filled with tears. Gilgamesh said, "Why are you sighing? Why, dear friend, do your eyes fill with tears?" Enkidu answered, "Dear friend, a scream sticks in my throat. My arms are limp. I knew that country when I roamed the hills with the antelope and deer. The forest is endless. It spreads far and wide for 1,000 miles. What man would dare to penetrate its depths?" That sounds like a dare. Gilgamesh said, "Listen, dear friend. Even if the forest goes on forever, I have to enter it, climb its slopes, cut down a cedar that is tall enough to make a whirlwind as it falls to earth." Enkidu said, "But how can any man dare to enter the cedar forest? It is sacred to Enlil. Hasn't he declared its entrance forbidden? Hasn't he put Humbaba there to terrify men? We must not go on this journey. We must not fight this creature. His breath spews fire. His voice booms like thunder. His jaws are death. He can hear all sounds in the forest. Even the faintest rustling among the leaves. He will hear us 100 miles away. Who among men or gods could defeat him? Humbaba is the forest's guardian. Enlil put him there to terrify men. Whoever enters will be struck down by fear." Gilgamesh answered, "Why, dear friend, do you speak like a coward? What you just said is unworthy of you. It grieves my heart. We are not gods. We cannot ascend to heaven, no. We are mortal men. Only the gods live forever. Our days are few in number, and whatever we achieve is but a puff of wind. Why be afraid, then, since sooner or later death must come? Where is the courage you've always had? If I die in the forest on this great adventure, won't you be ashamed when people say Gilgamesh met a hero's death battling the monster Humbaba? And where was Enkidu? He was safe at home. You were raised in the mountains. With your own hands you have killed the marauding lions and wolves. You are brave. Your heart has been tested in combat. But whether you come along or not, I will cut down the tree. I will kill Humbaba. I will make a lasting name for myself. I will stamp my fame on men's minds forever. Gilgamesh bolted the 7 gates of Great Wall Uruk, and the people gathered. Crowds of them poured out into the streets. Gilgamesh sat on his throne. The crowds pressed in to hear him. Gilgamesh spoke. Hear me, elders of Great Wall Uruk. I must travel now to the cedar forest, where the fierce monster Humbaba lives. I will conquer him in the cedar forest. I will cut down the tree. I will kill Humbaba. The whole world will know how mighty I am. I will make a lasting name for myself. I will stamp my fame on men's minds forever. Then Gilgamesh turned to the young men and spoke. Hear me, young men of Great Wall Uruk, warriors and comrades who have fought at my side. I will journey to meet the monster Humbaba. I will walk a road that no man has traveled. I will face a combat that no man has known. Give me your blessing before I leave, so that I may come back from the cedar forest again, victorious, and see your faces again. Once again may I celebrate the new year with you, in the streets of Great Walled Uruk, to the lyre's sound and the beat of the drums. Enkidu stood up. There were tears in his eyes. Elders of Uruk, persuade the king not to go to the cedar forest. Not to fight the fierce monster Humbaba, whose roar booms forth like a thunderclap, whose breath spews fire, whose jaws are death, who can hear all sounds in the forest, even the faintest rustling among the leaves. Who among men or gods could defeat him? Humbaba is the forest's guardian, and Enlil put him there to terrify men. The elders bowed to the king and said, You are young, sire. Your heart beats high and runs away with you. Why do you wish to embark on this folly? We have heard of Humbaba. He is dangerous. He is horrible to look at. His breath spews fire. His jaws are death. How can any man, even you, dare to enter the cedar forest? Who among men or gods could defeat him? Humbaba is the forest's guardian, and they'll put him there to terrify men. After he had listened to the elder's words, Gilgamesh laughed. He got up and said, Dear friend, tell me, has your courage returned? Are you ready to leave? Or are you still afraid of dying a hero's death? Enkidu, let us go to the forge and order the smiths to make us weapons that only the mightiest heroes could use. Enkidu listened gravely. He stood silent there for a long time. At last, he nodded. Gilgamesh took his hand. The smiths listened to their instructions. They cast huge weapons that ordinary men could never carry. Axes that weighed 200 pounds each, knives with crossguards, and heavy mountings of solid gold. That doesn't sound very effective. Each man carried weapons and armor weighing more than 600 pounds. Gilgamesh said, Before we leave, let us pay a visit to my mother's temple. Let us go and speak to the Lady Ninsun, the wise, the all-knowing. Let us bow before her. Let us ask for her blessing and her advice. Hand in hand, the two friends walked to Ninsun's temple. Gilgamesh bowed to his mother, the goddess Ninsun, and said, I must travel now to the cedar forest. I must journey to meet the fierce monster Humbaba. I must walk a road that no man has traveled. I must face a combat that no man has known. Dear Mother, great goddess, help me in this. Give me your blessing before I leave, so that I may come back from the cedar forest victorious and see your face again. Ninsun listened to his words with sorrow. With sorrow, she entered her inner room. She bathed in water of tamarisk and soapwort. She put on her finest robe, a wide belt, a jeweled necklace, then put on her crown. She climbed the stairs and went up to the roof. She lit sweet incense in honor of Shamash. She lifted her arms in prayer and said, Lord of heaven, you have granted my son beauty and strength and courage. Why have you burdened him with a restless heart? Now you have stirred him up to attack the monster Humbaba, to make a long journey from which he may not return. Since he has resolved to go, protect him until he arrives at the cedar forest, until he kills the monster Humbaba and drives from the world the evil that you hate. Protect him each day as you cross the sky, and at twilight may Aya, your bride, entrust him to the valiant stars, the watchmen of the night. O Lord Shamash, glorious sun, delight of the gods, illuminator of the world, who rise and the light is born. It fills the heavens, the whole earth takes shape, the mountains form, the valleys grow bright, darkness vanishes, evil retreats, all creatures wake up and open their eyes, they see you. They are filled with joy. Protect my son. On his dangerous journey, let the days be long, let the nights be short, let his stride be vigorous and his legs sturdy. When he and his dear friend Enkidu arrive, stir up strong winds against Humbaba, the south wind, the north wind, the east and the west, storm wind, gale wind, hurricane, tornado, to pin Humbaba, to paralyze his steps and make it easy for my son to kill him. Then your swift mules will carry you onward to your stopping place and bed for the night. The gods will bring luscious food to delight you. Aya will dry your face with the fringe of her pure white robe. Hear me, O Lord. Protect my son. In your great mercy, lead him to the forest and bring him home. After she had prayed, the goddess Ninsun, the wise, the all-knowing, came down from the roof and summoned Enkidu. Dear child, she said, you were not born from my womb, but now I adopt you as my son. She hung a jeweled amulet around Enkidu's neck. As a priestess takes in an abandoned child, I have taken in Enkidu as my own son. May he be a brother for Gilgamesh. May he guide him to the forest and bring him home. Enkidu listened. Tears filled his eyes. He and Gilgamesh clasped hands like brothers. They took their weapons, the massive axes, the massive knives, the quivers, the bows. The elders made way. The young men cheered. The elders stood up and addressed the king. Come back safely to Great Wall Daruk. Do not rely on your strength alone, but be watchful, be wary, make each blow count. Remember what the ancient proverb says. If you walk in front, you protect your comrade. If you know the route, you safeguard your friend. Let Enkidu go ahead as you walk. He knows the way to the cedar forest. He is tested in battle. He is brave and strong. He will guard you at every stage of the journey. Through every danger, he will stand at your side. May Shamash grant you your heart's desire. May the path to the cedar forest be straight. May the nights be safe with no dangers lurking. May your father, Lugalbanda, protect you. May you conquer Humbaba. May the battle be quick. May you joyfully wash your feet in his river. Dig a well when you stop for the night. Fill your water skins with fresh water. Each day, make an offering to Shamash. And remember Lugalbanda, your father, who journeyed to far-off mountains himself. The elders turned to Enkidu and said, We leave the king in your care. Protect him. Guide him through all the treacherous passes. Show him where to find food. and where to dig for fresh water, lead him to the forest and fight at his side. May Shamash help you. May the gods grant you your heart's desire and bring you back safe to Great Wall Uruk. Enkidu said to Gilgamesh, "Since you must do this, I must go with you. So, let us leave. Let our hearts be fearless. I will go first, since I know the way to the cedar forest where Humbaba lives." All right, that brings us to the end of Book 3. So we saw the start of this first adventure that we see on the page, or on the stone tablet, as the case may be, and the adoption by the goddess Ninsun of Enkidu. So now he and Gilgamesh are brothers in name, probably Eskimo brothers, probably all sorts of things. But you know what? For everyone, there's a special someone. And for Gilgamesh, there's Enkidu. For Enkidu, there's Gilgamesh. Tale as old as time. I mean, obviously, this is actually a tale as old as time. It's about as far back as you can go. Alright, let's see what Book 4 has in store for us. We probably have time to get through Book 4 before our break comes up. At 400, Sworn Brothers trope intensifies, but also Sworn Brothers trope was first written here. At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. Damn, they made 1,000 miles in a day? Shit. Alright. You might be a big deal, Gilgamesh. You might be. Just maybe. They had traveled for just 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks journey for ordinary men. When the sun was setting, they dug a well. They filled their water skins with fresh water. Gilgamesh climbed to the mountaintop. He poured out flour as an offering and said, "Mountain, bring me a favorable dream." Enkidu did the ritual for dreams, praying for a sign. A gust of wind passed. He built a shelter for the night, placed Gilgamesh on the floor, and spread a magic circle of flour around him. Then sprawled like a net across the doorway. Gilgamesh sat there with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him, as it does all men. At midnight he awoke. He said to Enkidu, "What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? Why am I cold? Enkidu, dear friend, I have had a dream. A horrible dream. We were walking in a gorge, and when I looked up, a huge mountain loomed. So huge that we were as small as flies. Then the mountain fell down on top of us. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?" Enkidu said, "Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The mountain stands for Humbaba. He will fall just like that mountain. Lord Shamash will grant us victory. We will kill the monster and leave his corpse on the battlefield." Gilgamesh, happy with his good dream, smiled, and his face lit up with pleasure. At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. They had traveled for just 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks journey for ordinary men. When the sun was setting, they dug a well. They filled their water skins with fresh water. Gilgamesh climbed to the mountain top. He poured out flowers and offering and said, "Mountain, bring me a favorable dream." Enkidu did the ritual for dreams, praying for a sign. A gust of wind passed. He built a shelter for the night, placed Gilgamesh on the floor, and spread a magic circle of flour around him, then sprawled like a net across the doorway. You know what? Besides Sworn Brothers trope intensifying, Deja Vu is intensifying. Gilgamesh sat there, with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him, as it does all men. At midnight, he awoke. He said to Enkidu, "What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? Why am I cold? Enkidu, dear friend, I have had a dream. a dream more horrible than the first. I looked up, and a huge mountain loomed. It threw me down, it pinned me by the feet. A terrifying brightness hurt my eyes. Suddenly, a young man appeared. He was shining and handsome. He took me by the arm. He pulled me out from under the mountain. He gave me water. My heart grew calm. Tell me, dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?
Enkidu said, "Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. Again, the mountain stands for Humbaba. He threw you down, but he could not kill you. As for the handsome young man who appeared, he stands for Lord Shamash, who will rescue you and grant you everything you desire."
Gilgamesh, happy with his good dream, smiled, and his face lit up with pleasure. At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. They traveled for just 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks' journey for ordinary men. When the sun was setting, they dug a well. They filled their water skins with fresh water. Gilgamesh climbed to the mountaintop. He poured out flour as an offering and said, "Mountain, bring me a favorable dream." Enkidu did the ritual for dreams, praying for a sign. A gust of wind passed. He built a shelter for the night, placed Gilgamesh on the floor, and spread a magic circle of flour around him. Then sprawled like a net across the doorway. Gilgamesh sat there, with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him, as it does all men. At midnight, he awoke. He said to Enkidu, "What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? Why am I cold?" "Enkidu, my dear friend, I have had a dream. A dream more horrible than both the others. The heavens roared and the earth heaved, then darkness, silence, lightning flashed, igniting the trees. By the time the flames died out, the ground was covered with ash. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?"
Enkidu said, "Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The fiery heavens stand for Humbaba, who tried to kill you with lightning and flames. But in spite of the fire, he could not harm you. We will kill Humbaba. Success is ours. However he attacks us, we will prevail."
Gilgamesh, happy with his good dream, smiled, and his face lit up with pleasure. At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. They had traveled for just 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks' journey for ordinary men. When the sun was setting, they dug a well. They filled their water skins with fresh water. Gilgamesh climbed to the mountaintop. He poured out flour as an offering and said, "Mountain, bring me a favorable dream." Enkidu did the ritual for dreams, praying for a sign. A gust of wind passed. He built a shelter for the night, placed Gilgamesh on the floor, and spread a magic circle of flour around him. Then sprawled like a net across the doorway. Gilgamesh sat there with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him, as it does all men. At midnight he awoke. He said to Enkidu, "What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? Why am I cold?" "Enkidu, dear friend, I have had a fourth dream, a dream more horrible than the 3 others. I saw a fierce eagle with a lion's head. It floated down toward me like a huge cloud. It grimaced at me. Terrifying flames shot from its mouth. Then beside me, I saw a young man with an unearthly glow. He seized the creature. He broke its wings. He wrung its neck and threw it to the ground. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?"
Enkidu said, "Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The eagle that you saw with the lion's head stands for Humbaba. Though it dived straight toward you, and terrifying flames shot from its mouth, nothing could cause you harm. The young man who came to your rescue is our lord, Shamash. He will stand beside us when the monster attacks. Whatever happens, we will prevail."
Gilgamesh, happy with his good dream, smiled,
and his face lit up with pleasure. Oh, we're looping again, aren't we? Oh. At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. They had traveled for just 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks' journey for ordinary men. When the sun was setting, they dug a well. They filled their water skins with fresh water. Gilgamesh climbed to the mountaintop. He poured out flour as an offering and said, "Mountain, bring me a favorable dream." Enkidu did the ritual for dreams, praying for a sign, a gust of wind. He built a shelter for the night, placed Gilgamesh on the floor, and spread a magic circle of flour around him. Then sprawled like a net across the doorway. Gilgamesh sat there, with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him, as it does all men. At midnight he awoke. He said to Enkidu, "What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? Why am I cold?" Enkidu, "Dear friend, I have had a 5th dream, a dream more horrible than all the others. I am wrestling with a gigantic bull. Its bellows shattered the ground and raised clouds of dust that darkened the sky. It pinned me down, it crushed me, I felt its breath on my face. Then suddenly, a man pulled me up, put his arms around me, and gave me fresh water from his water skin. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?" Enkidu said, "Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The gigantic bull is no enemy of ours. He stands for the very God who has helped us, bright Shamash, our protector, Lord of the sky, who in every danger will come to our aid. The man who pulled you up from the ground and gave you fresh water from his water skin is Lugabanda, your personal god. With his help, we will achieve a triumph greater than any man has achieved." They had reached the edge of the cedar forest. They could hear Humbaba's terrifying roar. Gilgamesh stopped. He was trembling. Tears flowed down his cheeks. "Oh, Shamash," he cried, "protect me on this dangerous journey. Remember me, and help me. Hear my prayer." They stood and listened. A moment passed. Then, from heaven, the voice of the god called to Gilgamesh, "Hurry! Attack! Attack Humbaba while the time is right, before he enters the depths of the forest, before he can hide there and wrap himself in his 7 auras with their paralyzing glare. He's wearing just one now. Attack him, now!" They stood at the edge of the cedar forest, gazing, silent. There was nothing to say. All right, that brings us to the end of Book 4. Okay, so I know, this was a poem originally, an epic poem, and as such, repetition sort of drums things in. But did they really need to be word for word identical? 5 dreams in a row? 5 repetitions? I was actually losing my mind there for a minute. There's no progress bar for how far along in the chapter in the PDF format that we're in, so I had no idea if we were actually looping back or not until he actually started describing each dream. I was losing my mind. My marbles, they were gone. But Enkidu is rather optimistic in all of his interpretations of the dreams. We'll have to see whether he's hiding anything from Gilgamesh, whether it is actually just an overly optimistic viewpoint, or whether everything is going to work out perfectly as foretold. We'll have to see. It was interesting to see, as they were standing by the edge of the forest, Gilgamesh, the man of men, the greatest hero of all the ages, was crying. He was in his fear. He was able to be in touch with himself and let it out.
biggest man of all time is a bigger man than most. Gotta let that sink in. Let the heart do its work. Alright guys, we've got an ad break starting up in... Yeah, I know, right? It's almost like it's healthy. If you've got the manliest man in history being in touch with his feelings, don't tell me you gotta just bottle all your shit up. You can let it out yourself. Alright, we've got an ad break kicking up in about 30 seconds. So, let's go ahead and take a break, stand up, stretch our legs, top up our drinks, attend to our fuzzy friends, and we'll be back in just a little while to presumably have the climactic confrontation between Gilgamesh and Enkidu and the beast Humbaba. When we return, thanks! All right, we are back. So, we've seen some of the one of the oldest stories in the world started to unfold before us. The introduction of the great king Gilgamesh, son of the gods. Well, 2/3 gods, I guess. It's all very complicated. In his reign as a tyrant over one of the first cities, the Great Uruk. And in answer to the people's pleas to the heavens, they sent a mirror. Someone to be much like him, his opposite and companion, to take the edge off. Gotta work out that aggression. And so, as Akamos said, they sent some. They tamed the wild beast with booty, and Enkidu was brought into civilization, and very quickly, he and Gilgamesh became the best of bros in many different forms. Tale for history. But now, they're off in search for adventure, because if you've only got so many days allotted to you on this earth, you might as well make something of them, right? Just being the greatest king and the greatest example of shining manhood that has ever been on earth, that's not enough. No. You need something to be done with your own hands to make your mark. So, let's go hunt a monster. Chop down a tree that's big enough to set up a whirlwind as it falls. Exactly. What's a bromance without adventure? What's a doomed yaoi without a little bit of doom? It's just not going to work. You need a little bit of something extra. You need some spice. And so, we find ourselves, Enkidu and Gilgamesh, standing at the edge of the cedar forest. And the god Shamash has said, "Now's your time! Go! Go!" And so, let's continue with Book 5. They stood at the edge of the cedar forest, marveling at the great height of the trees. They could see before them a well-marked trail, beaten by Humbaba as he came and went. From far off, they saw the Cedar Mountain, sacred to Ishtar, where the gods dwell, the slopes of it steep and rich in cedars, with their sharp fragrance and pleasant shade. Gripping their axes, their knives unsheathed, they entered the forest, and made their way through the tangle of thorn bushes underfoot. Suddenly, Enkidu was seized by terror. His face turned pale like a severed head. He said to Gilgamesh, "Dear friend, I cannot continue. I am frightened. I cannot go on. You go into the dreadful forest. You kill Humbaba and win the fame. I will return now to Great Walled Uruk, and all men will know what a coward I have been." Gilgamesh answered, "Dear friend, dear brother, I cannot kill Humbaba alone. Please, stay here with me. Stand at my side. 2 boats lashed together will never sink. A 3-ply rope is not easily broken. If we help each other and fight side by side, what harm can come to us? Let us go on and attack the monster. We have come so far. Whatever you are feeling, let us go on." Enkidu said, "You have never met him, so you don't know how the horror that lurks ahead. But when I saw him, my blood ran cold. His teeth are knife-sharp, they stick out like tusks. His face, blood-smeared as a lion's face. He charges ahead like a raging torrent, his forehead ablaze. Who can withstand him? I am terrified. I cannot go on." Gilgamesh said, "Courage, dear brother. This is no time to give in to fear. We have come so far, across so many mountains, and our journey is about to reach its goal. You were raised in the wild. With your own hands you have killed the marauding lions and wolves. You are brave. Your heart has been tested in combat. Though your arms feel weak now, and your legs tremble, you are a warrior, and know what to do. Shout out your battle cry. Let your voice pound like a kettle drum. Let your heart inspire you to be joyous in battle, to forget about death. If we help each other and fight side by side, we will make a lasting name for ourselves. We will stamp our fame on men's minds forever. They walked deep into the cedar forest, gripping their axes, their knives unsheathed, following the trail that Humbaba had made. They came within sight of the monster's den. He was waiting inside it. Their blood ran cold. He saw the two friends. He grimaced. He bared his teeth. He let out a deafening roar. He glared at Gilgamesh. "Young man," he said, "you will never go home. Prepare to die." Dread surged through Gilgamesh. Terror flooded his muscles. His heart froze. His mouth went dry. His legs shook. His feet were rooted to the ground. Enkidu saw his dismay and said,
"Dear friend, great warrior, noble hero, don't lose courage. Remember this. 2 boats lashed together will never sink. A 3-ply rope is not easily broken. If we help each other and fight side by side, what harm can come to us? Let us go on."
They advanced to the monster's den. Humbaba charged out, roaring at them, and said, "I know you, Gilgamesh. Don't be a fool. Go away. Leave the cedar forest. Have madmen told you to confront me here? I will tear you limb from limb. I will crush you and leave you bloody and mangled on the ground. And you, Enkidu, you son of a fish or a turtle, you gutless, fatherless spawn who never suckled on mother's milk, I saw you in the pastures when you were young. I saw you graze with the wandering herds. But I didn't kill you. You were too scrawny. You wouldn't have made a decent meal. And now you dare lead Gilgamesh here. You both stand before me, looking like a pair of frightened girls. I will slit your throats. I will cut off your heads. I will feed your stinking guts to the shrieking vultures and crows." Gilgamesh backed away. He said, "Dreadful Humbaba's face has become. It is changing into 1,000 nightmare faces, more horrible than I can bear. I feel haunted. I am too afraid to go on." Enkidu answered,
"Why, dear friend, do you speak like a coward? What you just said is unworthy of you. It grieves my heart. You must not hesitate or retreat. 2 intimate friends cannot be defeated. Be courageous. Remember how strong you are. I will stand by you. Now, let us attack."
Gilgamesh felt his courage return. They charged at Humbaba like 2 wild bulls. The monster let out a deafening cry. His roar boomed forth like a flash of thunder. He stamped and the ground burst open. His steps split the mountains of Lebanon. The clouds turned black. A sulphurous fog descended on them and made their eyes ache. Then Shamash threw strong winds at Humbaba. The south wind, the north wind, the east and the west, storm wind, gale wind, hurricane, tornado, to pin him down and paralyze his steps. He could not move forward, could not retreat. Gilgamesh saw it. He leaped upon him. He held a knife to Humbaba's throat. Humbaba said, "Gilgamesh, have mercy. Let me live here in the cedar forest. If you spare my life, I will be your slave. I will give you as many cedars as you wish. You are king of Uruk by the grace of Shamash. Honor him with a cedar temple and a glorious cedar palace for yourself. All this is yours, if only you spare me." Enkidu said,
Dear friend, don't listen to anything that the monster says. Kill him before you become confused.
Humbaba said,
If any mortal Enkidu knows the rules of my forest, it is you. You know that this is my place, and that I am the forest guardian. Enlil put me here to terrify men. And I guard the forest as Enlil ordains. If you kill me, you will call down the gods' wrath, and their judgment will be severe. I could have killed you at the forest edge. I could have hung you from a cedar and fed your guts to the shrieking vultures and crows. Now it is your turn to show me mercy. Speak to him, beg him to spare my life.
Enkidu said,
Dear friend, quickly, before another moment goes by, kill Humbaba. Don't listen to his words. Don't hesitate. Slaughter him. Slit his throat before the great god Enlil can stop us. Before the great gods can get enraged. Enlil in Nippur, Shamash in Larsa, establish your fame so that forever men will speak of brave Gilgamesh, who killed Humbaba in the cedar forest.
Knowing he was doomed, Humbaba cried out,
I curse you both. Because you have done this, may Enkidu die. May he die in great pain. May Gilgamesh be inconsolable. May his merciless heart be crushed with grief.
Gilgamesh dropped his axe, appalled.
Enkidu said, Courage, dear friend. Close your ears to Humbaba's curses. Don't listen to a word. Slaughter him, now!
Gilgamesh, hearing his beloved friend, came to himself. He yelled, he lifted his massive axe, he swung it. It tore into Humbaba's neck, the blood shot out. Again the axe bit flesh and bone. The monster staggered. His eyes rolled, and at the axe's third stroke, he toppled like a cedar and crashed to the ground. At his death roar, the mountains of Lebanon shook. The valleys ran with his blood, and for 10 miles the forest resounded. Then the two friends sliced him open, pulled out his intestines, cut off his head with its knife-sharp teeth and horrible bloodshot staring eyes. A gentle rain fell onto the mountains. A gentle rain fell onto the mountains. They took their axes and penetrated deeper into the forest. They went chopping down cedars. The wood chips flew. Gilgamesh chopped down the mighty trees. Enkidu hewed the trunks into timbers. Enkidu said, By your great strength you have killed Humbaba, the forest's watchman. What could bring you dishonor now? We have chopped down the trees of the cedar forest. We have brought to earth the highest of the trees, the cedar, whose top once pierced the sky. We will make it into a gigantic door, 100 feet high and 30 feet wide. We will float it down the Euphrates to Enlil's temple in Nippur. No men shall go through it, but only the gods. May Enlil delight in it. May it be a joy to the people of Nippur. They bound logs together and built a raft. Enkidu steered it down the great river. Gilgamesh carried Humbaba's head. All right, that brings us to the end of Book 5 of the story of Gilgamesh. And with it, we see the end of Humbaba. My throat will be very happy for that. I chose poorly with Humbaba's voice. That was a mistake. But we'll survive. Yeah, it was appropriate, but whoo, that was a little much. I haven't done the monster voices in a while, and a little out of practice on the pipes. Thankfully, our next night I'll have 2 days off after this, so I'll have time to recover and such. So we'll live. So the start of that chapter or book was kind of interesting. We saw how first Enkidu, then Gilgamesh were struggling
to work up their courage, which is honestly kind of refreshing. Both of them have had moments of its failing. It's a bit of a stark contrast compared to like when we were reading Beowulf, where Beowulf absolutely was like perfect in everything, a man's man with no fear, no nothing, just only strength, only courage. Rah, bah, 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 bah. Gilgamesh is a lot more of a rounded character, even though we're presented him as like the perfect man. He's still in touch with the different aspects of his own feelings, of his own humanity. He's patient and considerate toward Enkidu and talks him up, urges his courage back forward, and he has problems himself. So it's very refreshing to see like a paragon of ancient man, but any sort of like this is like peak masculinity, and he's got feelings. He's got like, people could learn from this. It's only been a few thousand years, like what, 6,000 years since this was written? Like, we've never learned anything at all. Crazy. Yeah. And all this, despite the fact that this started out with Gilgamesh being hailed as a tyrant. Despite being, like, one of the best, like, he had flaws. He's like the manliest of men, but was like scaring his people. And he still is more human than a lot of characters we run into. All right, let's go ahead and continue now with Book 6. We've got about 40 minutes or so left tonight, so we can get fairly decently through. From the looks of things, I'm expecting this will probably be just a 2-day read, I would imagine. It's not terribly long. So, Book 6. When he returned to Great Walled Uruk, Gilgamesh bathed, he washed his matted hair, and shook it over his back. He took off his filthy, blood-spattered clothes, put on a tunic of the finest wool, wrapped himself in a glorious, gold-trimmed purple robe, and fastened it with a wide-fringed belt. Then put on his crown. The goddess Ishtar caught sight of him. She saw how splendid a man he was. Her heart was smitten, her loins caught fire. Ooh. Come here, Gilgamesh, Ishtar said. Marry me. Give me your luscious fruits. Be my husband, be my sweet man. I will give you abundance beyond your dreams. Marble and alabaster, ivory and jade, gorgeous servants with blue-green eyes, a chariot of lapis lazuli with golden wheels and guide horns of amber, pulled by storm demons like giant mules. When you enter my temple in its seat of fragrance, high priests will bow down and kiss your feet. Kings and princes will kneel before you, bring you tribute from east and west, and I will bless everything that you own. Your goats will bear triplets, your ewes will twin, your donkeys will be faster than any mule, your chariot horses will win every race. Your oxen will be the envy of the world. These are the least of the gifts I will shower upon you. Come here, be my sweet man. One way to try and seduce a man. Gilgamesh said, Your price is too high. Such riches are far beyond my means. Tell me, how could I ever repay you? Even if I gave you jewels, perfumes, rich robes, what will happen to me when your heart turns elsewhere and your lust burns out? Which one was talking? Why would I want to be the lover of a broken oven that fails in the cold?
a flimsy door that the wind blows through, a palace that falls on its staunchest defenders, a mouse that gnaws through the thin reed shelter, tar that blackens the workman's hands, a water skin that is full of holes and leaks all over its bearer, a piece of limestone that crumbles and undermines a solid stone wall, a battering ram that knocks down the rampart of an allied city, a shoe that mangles its owner's foot. Which of your husbands did you love forever? Which could satisfy your endless desires? Let me remind you of how they suffered, how each one came to a bitter end. Remember what happened to that beautiful boy Tammuz. You loved him when you were both young, then you changed, and sent him to the underworld, and doomed him to be wailed for year after year. You loved the bright speckled roller bird, then you changed. You attacked him and broke his wings, and he sits in the woods crying, "Owie, owie!" You loved the lion, matchless in strength, then you changed. You dug 7 pits for him, and when he fell, you left him to die. You loved the hot-blooded, war-bold stallion, then you changed. You doomed him to whip and spurs, to endlessly gallop with a bit in his mouth, to muddy his own water when he drinks from a pool. And for his mother, the goddess Selili, you ordained a weeping that will never end. You loved the shepherd, the master of the flocks, who every day would bake bread for you, and would bring you a fresh slaughtered roasted lamb. Then you changed. You touched him, he became a wolf. And now his own shepherd boys drive him away, and his own dogs snap at his hairy thighs. You loved the gardener Ishalanu, who would bring you baskets of fresh-picked dates every day to brighten your table. You lusted for him. You drew close and said, "Sweet Ishalanu, let me suck your hole, touch my vagina, caress my jewel." And he frowned and answered, "Why should I eat this rotten meal of you?" I'm sorry.
Gilgamesh is just straight savage with this. Damn.
And he frowned and answered, "Why should I eat this rotten meal of yours? What can you offer but the bread of dishonor, the beer of shame, and thin reeds as covers when the cold wind blows?" But you kept up your sweet talk, and at last he gave in. Then you changed. You turned him into a toad and doomed him to live in his devastated garden. And why would my fate be any different? If I too became your lover, you would treat me as cruelly as you treated them. Ishtar shrieked. She exploded with fury. Raging, weeping, she went up to heaven, to her father Anu, and onto her mother. Of tears of anger poured down her cheeks.
"Father, Gilgamesh slandered me. He hurled the worst insults at me. He said horrible, unforgivable things."
Anu said to the Princess Ishtar, "But might you not have provoked this? Did you try to seduce him, or did he just start insulting you for no reason at all?"
Ishtar said, "Please, father, I beg you. Give me the Bull of Heaven, just for a little while. I want to bring it to the earth. I want to kill that liar Gilgamesh and destroy his palace. If you say no, I will smash the gates of the underworld, and 1,000,000 famished ghouls will ascend to devour the living, and the living will be outnumbered by the dead."
Anu said to the Princess Ishtar, "But if I give you the Bull of Heaven, Uruk will have famine for 7 long years. Have you provided the people with grain for 7 years, and the cattle with fodder?"
Ishtar said, "Yes, of course I've gathered grain and fodder. I have stored up enough, more than enough, for 7 years.
When Anu heard this, he called for the bull and handed its nose rope to the Princess Ishtar. Ishtar led the bull down to the earth. It entered and bellowed. The whole land shook. The streams and marshes dried up. The Euphrates water level dropped by 10 feet. When the bull snorted, the earth cracked open, and 100 warriors fell in and died. It snorted again. The earth cracked open, and 200 warriors fell in and died. When it snorted a third time, The earth cracked open, and Enkidu fell in, up to his waist. He jumped out and grabbed the bull's horns. It spat its slobber into his face. It lifted its tail and spewed dung all over him. Gilgamesh rushed in and shouted, "Dear friend, keep fighting. Together, we are sure to win." Enkidu circled behind the bull. "Brother, you just got shat on. You want to circle behind the bull? Are you sure? You sure that's what you want to do? I'm not here to question your judgment. You're up there with like the 1 and 2 of greatest men ever, but me, I'd stay away from that end." Seized it by the tail and set his foot on its haunch. Then Gilgamesh, skillfully, like a butcher, strode up and thrust his knife between its shoulders and the base of its horns. After they had killed the bull of heaven, they ripped out its heart and they offered it to Shamash. Then they both bowed before him and sat down like brothers, side by side. Ishtar was outraged. She climbed to the top of Uruk's great wall. She writhed in grief and wailed, "Not only did Gilgamesh slander me, now the brute has killed his own punishment, the bull of heaven." When Enkidu heard these words, he laughed. He reached down, ripped off one of the bull's thighs, and flung it in Ishtar's face. If only I could catch you, this is what I would do to you. I would rip you apart and drape the bull's guts over your arms. Ishtar assembled her priestesses, those who offered themselves to all men in her honor. They placed the bull's gory thigh on the altar and began a solemn lament. Gilgamesh summoned his master craftsmen. They marveled at the gigantic horns. Each horn was made from 30 pounds of lapis lazuli. Each was as thick as the length of 2 thumbs. And together they held 400 gallons. He called for that much oil to anoint his father's statue, then hung the 2 massive horns in the chapel, dedicated to Lugalbanda. The 2 friends washed themselves in the river and returned to the palace. Hand in hand, they rode in a chariot through the main streets. The people shouted and cheered as they passed. Gilgamesh said this to his singing girls, "Tell me, who is the handsomest of men? Tell me, who is the bravest of heroes? Gilgamesh. He is the handsomest of men. Enkidu. He is the bravest of heroes. We are the victors who in our fury flung the bull's thigh in Ishtar's face. And now, in the streets, she has no one to avenge her." There was singing and feasting in the palace that night. Later, when the warriors were stretched out to sleep, Enkidu had a terrifying dream. When he woke up, he said to Gilgamesh, "Dear friend, why are the great gods assembled?" That brings us to the end of Book 6. And that started off, amusingly enough, with Ishtar being infatuated, shall we say, with Gilgamesh. But Gilgamesh knows a little bit of her history. Just a little bit. And so, rather than adding to the body count, he's sent her away with words. Probably appropriate and well-deserved words. But damn, he was actually kind of savage with a few of those. But she ran off to Daddy, convinced him that she'd made preparations for any sort of famine or the like. Rather doubt she actually had. And sent off a bit of a punishment. Yeah, this is a much more competent Gilgamesh than we're used to in general. Doesn't really matter what sort of genre or fiction or any, like, what sort of tradition you're used to seeing Gilgamesh in. Yeah, exactly. If you're familiar with like FF5 Gilgamesh, he's kind of a buffoon. This is not a buffoon. This is not.
If you're used to a Type Moon Gilgamesh, this is a little bit closer, but he is much more human than the Golden Twink. So, we'll continue on and see how this shakes out. Alright, so, Enkidu has been woken up in the night and he's afraid that the gods are arrayed against them. So let's find out in Book 7. That was in line with Type Moon Gilgamesh. But this Gilgamesh has redeeming features. Alright. Beloved brother, Enkidu said, last night I had a terrifying dream. I dreamed that we had offended the gods. They met in council and Anu said, they have slaughtered the bull of heaven and killed Humbaba, watchman of the cedar forest. Therefore one of the two must die. And then Enlil said to him, Enkidu, not Gilgamesh, is the one who must die. Enkidu fell sick. He lay on his bed sick at heart, and his tears flowed like streams. He said to Gilgamesh, dear friend, dear brother, they are taking me from you. I will not return. Okay, you got me there. That was very satisfying. Shinji had no redeeming features. Gilgamesh at least saw that he was a shit. I will sit with the dead in the underworld, and never will I see my dear brother again. When Gilgamesh heard his friend's words, he wept. Swiftly the tears flowed down his cheeks. He said to Enkidu, dearest brother, you have been a reasonable man, but now you are talking nonsense. How do you know that your dream is not a favorable one? Fear has set your lips buzzing like flies. Enkidu said, beloved brother, last night I had a second bad dream. The heavens thundered, the earth replied, and I was standing on a shadowy plain. A creature appeared with a lion's head. His face was ghastly. He had a lion's paws, an eagle's talons and wings. He flew at me, he seized me by the hair. I tried to struggle, but with one blow he capsized me like a raft. He leaped upon me. Like a bull he trampled my bones. Gilgamesh, save me, I cried, but you didn't save me. You were afraid and you didn't come. The creature touched me and suddenly feathers covered my arms. He bound them behind me and forced me down to the underworld, the house of darkness, the home of the dead, where all who enter never return to the sweet earth again. Those who dwell there squat in the darkness. Dirt is their food, their drink is clay. They are dressed in feather garments like birds. They never see light, and on the door and bolt the dust lies thick. When I entered that house, I looked, and around me were piles of crowns. I saw proud kings who had ruled the land, who had set out roast meat before the gods, and offered cool water and cakes for the dead. I saw high priests and acolytes squatting, exorcists and prophets, and the ecstatic and the dull. I saw Etana, the primeval king, Sumukan, the wild animals' god, and Ereshkigal, the somber queen of the underworld. Beletseri, her scribe, was kneeling before her, reading from the tablet on which each mortal's death is inscribed. When the queen saw me, she glared and said, who has brought this new resident here? Gilgamesh said, though it sounds bad, this dream may be a good omen. The gods send dreams just to the healthy, never to the weak. So it is a healthy man who has dreamed this. Comcast, what have you done? What have you done?
Yeah, Comcast decided, or the internet decided that, you know what? Let's not, and say we did. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. All right, let's take a brief moment. I do think we are going to have ads foisted on us, as always, whenever our stream drops. So, let's take a brief moment to recenter, refocus, grab a drink, and we'll see whether these ads will actually run as they say they will. I can only hope they won't. So, be right back. I'm gonna make sure the cats aren't up to any no good, and we'll see whether the internet cooperates. Hang tight. All right, we are back. Well, all right. So, the internet has decided that it is not our friend. But we've been stable since the very, very hard drop. And with the ads out of the way, we should have a clean stretch ahead of us to finish up at our normal scheduled time in about 20 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and continue, and we'll see what comes of this dark, dark dream of Enkidu. Let's see. Let's roll back just a touch to the top of that chapter here, or that paragraph. Gilgamesh said, "Though it sounds bad, the dream may be a good omen. The gods send dreams just to the healthy, never to the weak. So it is a healthy man who has dreamed this. Now, I will pray to the great gods for help. I will pray to Shamash, and to your god, to Anu, father of the gods, to Enlil, the counselor, and to Ea the wise. I will beg them to show you mercy. Then I will have a gold statue made in your image. Don't worry, dear friend. You will soon get better. This votive image will restore you to health."
Enkidu said, "There is no gold statue that can cure this illness, beloved friend. What Enlil has decided cannot be changed. My fate is settled. There's nothing you can do." At the first glow of dawn, Enkidu cried out to Shamash. He raised his head, and the tears poured down his cheeks. "I turn to you, Lord, since suddenly fate has turned against me. As for that wretched trapper who found me when I was free in the wilderness, because he destroyed my life, destroy his livelihood, may he go home empty. May no animals ever enter his traps, or if they do, may they vanish like mist, and may he starve for bringing me here."
Well, that's kind of cold.
Because of the hunter came that you, A, got booty, and B, met Broski. Come on. Don't be too hard on the hunter. After he had cursed him to his heart's content, he then cursed Shamat, the priestess of Ishtar. Oh, well, okay. "Shamat, I assign you an eternal fate. I curse you with the ultimate curse. May it seize you instantly as it leaves my mouth. Never may you have a home and family. Never caress a child of your own. May your man prefer younger, prettier girls. May he beat you as a housewife beats a rug. May you never acquire bright alabaster or shining silver, the delight of men. May your roof keep leaking and no carpenter fix it. May wild dogs camp in your bedroom. May owls nest in your attic. May drunkards vomit all over you. May a tavern wall be your place of business. May you be dressed in torn robes and filthy underwear. May angry wives sue you. May thorns and briars make your feet bloody. May young men jeer and the rabble mock you as you walk the streets. Shamat, may all this be your reward for seducing me in the wilderness when I was strong and innocent and free." Damn, alright, calm down, dude. I know you're dying, but chill. Bright Shamash, the protector, heard his prayer. Then from heaven, the voice of the god called out, "Enkidu, why are you cursing the priestess Shamat? Wasn't it she who gave you fine bread fit for a god, and fine beer fit for a king, who clothed you in a glorious robe, and gave you splendid Gilgamesh as your intimate friend? He will lay you down on a bed of honor. He will put you on a royal bier on his left. He will place your statue in the seat of repose. The princes of the earth will kiss its feet. The people of Uruk will mourn you. And when you are gone, he will roam the wilderness with matted hair in a lion's skin." See? The gods know that Enkidu's just being hysterical. When Enkidu heard this, his raging heart grew calm. He thought of Shamat and said, "Shamat, I assign you a different fate. My mouth that cursed you will bless you now. May you be adored by nobles and princes. 2 miles away from you, may your lover tremble with excitement. 1 mile away, may he bite his lip in anticipation. May the warrior long to be naked beside you. May Ishtar give you generous lovers whose treasure chests brim with jewels and gold. May the mother of 7 be abandoned for your sake. I'm not sure that's a blessing. Hold on. Then Enkidu said to Gilgamesh, "You, who have walked beside me steadfast through so many dangers, remember me. Never forget what I've endured." The day that Enkidu had his dreams, his strength began failing. For 12 long days, he was deathly sick. He lay in his bed in agony, unable to rest, and every day he grew worse. At last, he sat up and called out to Gilgamesh, "Have you abandoned me now, dear friend? You told me that you would come to help me when I was afraid, but I cannot see you. You've not come to fight off this danger. Yet weren't we to remain together forever? Weren't we to remain forever inseparable, you and I?" When he heard the death rattle, Gilgamesh moaned like a dove. His face grew dark. "Beloved, wait. Don't leave me, dearest of men. Don't die. Don't let them take you from me." All right. That brings us to the end of Book 7. The death of Enkidu. Rather out of left field there. And the whiplash of Enkidu having first cursing the hunter and the priestess who brought him in from the wilderness, and then in the next breath blessing the priestess. But the hunter? No, he gets no mercy, apparently. Okay, sure. And that blessing. Woo! The mother of 7 to be abandoned in her favor. Yeesh. Yeah, to put it lightly, ancient Mesopotamia was on some shit. Things are very interestingly aligned there. Alright, let's go ahead and try and get through one more chapter tonight. Just so we can get a feel for how much more we have to finish up. I think this is looking like a 2-night read, but we might have to run long on Friday to facilitate that. And I'm okay with that. It's a long weekend. So, let's continue with Book 8. All through the long night, Gilgamesh wept for his dead friend. At the first glow of dawn, he cried out, "Enkidu, dearest brother, you came to Uruk from the wilderness. Your mother was a gazelle, your father a wild ass. You were raised on the milk of antelope and deer, and the wandering herds taught you where the best pastures were. May the paths that led you to the cedar forest mourn you constantly, day and night. May the elders of Great Walled Uruk mourn you who gave us their blessing when we departed. May the hills mourn you, and the mountains we climbed. May the pastures mourn you as their own son. May the forests we slashed in our fury mourn you." There we go. The PDF flips a little bit faster than the EPUB. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard, the deer, jackal, lion, wild bull, gazelle. May the rivers Ulaya and Euphrates mourn you, whose sacred waters we offered to the gods. May the young men of the Great Walled Uruk mourn you, who cheered when we slaughtered the bull of heaven. May the farmer mourn you, who praised you to the skies in his harvest song. May the shepherd mourn you, who brought you milk. May the brewer mourn you, who made you fine beer. May Ishtar's priestess mourn you, who massaged you with sweet-smelling oil.
May the wedding guests mourn you like their own brother. May the temple priests mourn you, loosening their hair. Hear me, elders! Hear me, young men! My beloved friend is dead. He is dead. My beloved brother is dead. I will mourn. As long as I breathe, I will sob for him. Like a woman who has lost her only child. Oh, Enkidu, you were the axe at my side, in which my arm thrusted, I guess, the knife in my sheath, the shield I carried, my glorious robe, the wide belt around my loins, and now a harsh fate has torn you from me forever. Beloved friend, swift stallion, wild deer, leopard ranging in the wilderness, Enkidu, my friend. Swift stallion, wild deer, leopard ranging in the wilderness. Together we crossed the mountains. Together we slaughtered the bull of heaven. We killed Humbaba, who guarded the cedar forest. Oh, Enkidu, what is this sleep that has seized you? It has darkened your face and stopped your breath. But Enkidu did not answer. Gilgamesh touched his heart, but it did not beat. Then he veiled Enkidu's face like a bride's. Like an eagle, Gilgamesh circled around him. He paced in front of him, back and forth, like a lioness whose cubs are trapped in a pit. He tore out clumps of his hair, tore off his magnificent robes, as though they were cursed. At the first glow of dawn, Gilgamesh sent out a proclamation. Blacksmiths, goldsmiths, workers in silver, metal, and gems, create a statue of Enkidu, my friend. Make it more splendid than any statue that has ever been made. Cover his beard with lapis lazuli, his chest with gold, let obsidian and all other beautiful stones, 1,000 jewels of every color, be piled along with the silver and gold and sent on a barge down the Euphrates to Great Walled Uruk for Enkidu's statue. I will lay him down on a bed of honor. I will put him on royal bier on my left. I will place his statue in the seat of repose. The princes of the earth will kiss its feet. The people of Uruk will mourn him, and when he is gone, I will roam the wilderness with matted hair in lion skin. After he sent out the proclamation, he went to the treasury, unlocked the door, and surveyed his riches. Then he brought out priceless jewel-studded weapons and tools with inlaid handles of ivory and gold, and he heaped them up for Enkidu, his friend, as an offering to the gods of the underworld. He gathered fattened oxen and sheep, he butchered them, and he piled them high for Enkidu, his beloved friend. He closed his eyes. In his mind, he formed an image of the infernal river. Then he opened the palace gate, brought out an offering table of precious yew wood, filled a carnelian bowl with honey, filled a lapis lazuli bowl with butter, and when the offerings were ready, he spread out each one in front of Shamash. To the great Queen Ishtar, his offering was a polished javelin of pure cedar. Let Ishtar accept this. Let her welcome my friend and walk at his side in the underworld, so that Enkidu may not be sick at heart. To Sin, the god of the moon, he offered a knife with a curved obsidian blade. Let Sin accept this. Let him welcome my friend and walk at his side in the underworld, so that Enkidu may not be sick at heart. To Ereshkigal, the dark queen of the dead, he offered a lapis lazuli flask. Let the queen accept this. Let her welcome my friend and walk at his side in the underworld, so that Enkidu may not be sick at heart. To Tammuz, the shepherd beloved by Ishtar, his offering was a carnelian flute. To Namtar, vizier of the dark gods, a lapis lazuli chair and scepter. To Hushbishag,
handmaid of the dark gods, a golden necklace. To Kasatabat, the infernal sweeper, a silver bracelet. To the housekeeper, Ninchaluha, a mirror of alabaster, on the back of which was a picture of the cedar forest, inlaid with rubies and lapis lazuli. To the butcher, Bipu, a double-edged knife, with a haft of lapis lazuli bearing a picture of the holy Euphrates. When all the offerings were set out, he prayed, "Let the gods accept these. Let them welcome my friend, and walk at his side in the underworld, so that Enkidu may not be sick at heart." After the funeral, Gilgamesh went out from Uruk into the wilderness with matted hair and a lion skin. All right, that brings us to the end of Book 8. And we see Gilgamesh in his grief, mourning and properly giving voice to his pain. Set a bookmark here, and we can get out of our reading nook for now, because this is as far as we're going tonight. So, this has been a lot of fun, actually. We usually have fun with the classics, but this one, I really, really like this version of the Epic of Gilgamesh. The one I mentioned earlier on that I read it in college, some undergrad religion class or something of the sort. You take things to get by. And it was a lot more dry and scholarly. This one is as it says on the tin. It reads like it says on the tin. It's meant to be a story. It's reframed, and it's still faithful to the source, as faithful as you can get when you're trying to translate cuneiform tablets. But it's faithful enough to the source material, but it is formatted such to be more prosaic and narrative than poetic. It still has the poetic vibe and cadence, the repetitions, the calling out and back, but it reads like a modern story. Not quite a novel, but we're not looking for a novel. We're looking for one of the oldest stories that man has ever put to, well, not page, but put to tablet. And this is done very well. I'm very happy with this version. Very happy with this translation. And I'm looking forward to finishing it. This doesn't feel like homework. This is a good story. So, this has been the first half of the Epic of Gilgamesh. Page, clay tablet, it's all the same. They wrote with a stylus back then, just a little differently than how we write with styluses now. Just details. But yeah, so we've seen Gilgamesh's, well, early-ish life, when he was still a tyrant, but still looked upon by his people as kingly. We saw as they called out for succor to the gods to rein in his more brutish impulses, give him a vent for those, and they did so in the form of Enkidu, the bestest bro you could possibly ask for. But we also saw the end of the doomed Yowie. It all had to come to an end at some point. And the gods, in their cruelty, took Enkidu away. We got the whole arc of emotion tonight. We got it all. So, our next reading will be on Friday. We're going to continue Gilgamesh. I think we'll probably finish. We might have to run long, but if there's any day that it's fine to run long, it's Friday and Saturday both.
So we should be fine. We should be fine. As always, as we're running up toward the end, I'll have my little closing blurb. We always stream both on YouTube and Twitch. So never fear if you miss a session, or if you'd like to catch up, or can't quite make our timing, or just want to go back through the backlogs. We've got on YouTube all of our VODs from when we just started, almost a little bit more than a year ago now. All sorts of books, different genres, different times, everything. Feel free to explore. I've got it arranged into playlists. You can follow along, jump in, jump out, however the case or needs or desires may be. If you are on the YouTube side, a subscription to the channel and a like on any of our streams would go a long way toward convincing the algorithm that we're doing some fun things, and maybe to send some new friends our way. If you're over on Twitch, thanks for joining us. We keep our normal schedule on both sides, but we're just getting started on Twitch. And we're growing nicely. We've got a friendly community here. A few people that are chatting, a few people that are regular lurkers who are every bit as welcome as the active chatters. So, I'm glad you're here. I'm happy you found us, however you found us. If you are enjoying what's going on, a follow is really all I ask. It can help to keep track of our schedule. We try to keep stable on our schedule, so you can maybe not quite set the clock by us, but we do our best. All right, so let's see. As always, I prefer to raid into other readers whenever we can. So let's see who is active tonight. Let's see where we can go and what sort of friends we can find on Twitch. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Jev is reading Rover Boys. She's our favorite. I think she's our Kiwi aunt. Someone is, I think, reading fanfic of Hololive characters. That could be awkward. Let's see. A lot of writers. Tuesdays are kind of hit or miss, which is understandable. Weekdays are weird. Snooze Button TV is reading more of The Secret of the Old Clock. Looks like she hasn't quite finished that. She's been going for a little bit more than an hour. So, how deep is she? Well, okay, I think we went to... let's see. Is Neff still going? We haven't rated Neff in a while. I'm not sure if he's writing, or if he's reading, or if he's playing games. You know what? It's been a little while. We haven't been to Neff in a little bit. So, let's go ahead and raid over that way. Be sure to give him our very best. He's something of a character, but he's a good sort. So, let's go ahead and finish up for tonight. As always, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope to see you next time when we continue on Friday, the Epic of Gilgamesh.